Today's video is all about smartphones, gadgets we use every day. They keep us connected, help us find information, and make life easier. But are they always good for us? In this video, we'll explore the benefits and the downsides. Here's a challenge. Use this video to practice listening and note-taking. Try to catch the main points, pros and cons. Grab a notebook, get comfy, and let's dive in.
Welcome back, Deep Divers. Today we're going to dive into something I bet you're pretty familiar with, smartphones. We're going way beyond just the cool apps and features, to really explore how these things affect our lives.
I think that's crucial because so much has changed so quickly.
Right. I mean, like when you first got your smartphone, what made you get one? Was it like that instant connection, or was it having everything right there?
Honestly, it was probably both. And to think, just a few decades ago, we couldn't have even imagined this kind of constant connection.
Yeah. But it's so easy to get caught up in the convenience, like we forget to think about the bigger picture. And that's kind of what this whole deep dive is about, exploring, both the good and the maybe not so good sides.
Yeah. And those downsides are becoming more and more clear. There's more and more research showing a link between too much smartphone use and, mental health issues, especially for younger people.
That's pretty worrying. I've heard about, the potential for addiction, but what are these studies actually saying?
Well, some research suggests that all that stimulation from smartphones, especially from social media, it can actually mess with the development of important brain functions, especially in teenagers. Yeah, and it's been linked to higher anxiety, depression, even problems with focus and attention.
So it's not even just the time spent on the phone, it's how it's changing our brains, especially young brains.
Exactly. It's almost like overloading a circuit. You get that constant flow of information and notifications, makes it hard to focus, process your emotions, even messes with your sleep.
Sleep. That is so key for pretty much everything. I've noticed if I'm on my phone too much before bed, I can't fall asleep. And I wake up feeling awful.
Makes sense. That blue light from our screens, it messes with our melatonin production. That's the hormone that controls our sleep. Not good.
There's also the physical toll. I know people who have tech neck and even carpal tunnel from using their phones too much.
It's becoming so common. We're seeing a huge increase in these repetitive strain injuries, like texting thumb, selfie elbow. Those are actually medical terms now. Selfie elbow. Seriously.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
It's our bodies are struggling to keep up.
Right.
It's kind of ironic, though, isn't it? These things are supposed to, make our lives easier, connect us with people, but then they end up causing all these new problems.
Totally. Shows you how important it is to be mindful about how we use them, because they do have tons of benefits. But we got to be aware of the downsides and, figure out how to deal with them.
Couldn't agree more. It's all about that balance, right? Using these tools to our advantage without letting them, take over. That's where this deep dive gets really interesting. We'll be exploring some tips and tricks for using smartphones in a way that makes our lives better, not worse.
A big challenge is dealing with all the digital distractions. Our smartphones are literally designed to keep us hooked, with notifications and updates and endless content.
It's like they're hijacking our attention, making it impossible to focus on anything else. I've definitely been there, feeling pulled in every direction. And that constant state of partial attention, it can have a huge impact on how productive we are, how creative we are, even on our ability to connect with others in a meaningful way.
It's funny, we always talk about smartphones like they're this outside force controlling us, but really it comes down to the choices we make.
Absolutely. We have the power. We're not helpless. It's about recognizing those patterns, understanding why they're designed the way they are, and then making conscious choices about how we want to use them.
Like if social media is made to keep you scrolling, and that those notifications are like designed to give you that dopamine hit,
Yeah.
then you can break free.
Exactly. You got to understand the game to play it on your own terms.
So smartphones give us this amazing convenience, but all that connection comes with a dark side. Let's explore how our social interactions are being impacted.
It really is amazing to think about how smartphones have changed how we interact with each other.
Yeah, we're constantly connected, but sometimes it feels like we're more isolated than ever.
Right. It's like this weird paradox. We have these devices that are meant to bring us closer, but in some ways they're pushing us further apart.
Oh, totally. Like how many times have you seen a group of people, hanging out together, but everyone's just glued to their phones?
All the time.
Yeah, we're physically there, but mentally we're somewhere else.
We're in our own little digital worlds.
Exactly. It's almost like we've forgotten how to just have a conversation, to be present with each other without needing a screen.
I think so. We're trading those deep, meaningful connections for all these quick, superficial interactions.
Like a text here or like
What?
there, just a glimpse of someone's like curated online life.
Exactly.
So what happens when we start prioritizing these, digital connections over real life interactions?
Well, studies are showing that there's a decline in empathy and in social skills, especially in younger people who've grown up with smartphones.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah, they're having trouble reading social cues, dealing with conflict, and building strong relationships.
Wow. It seems like we're losing those basic human skills that we need for a healthy society.
It makes you wonder about the future of human connection, right?
Definitely.
Are we sacrificing our ability to connect deeply with others just for these fleeting digital interactions?
It's a big question we all need to think about. But it's not all bad news, right? I mean, smartphones can be a force for good, too. Like, think about how they're used to organize movements and spread awareness to connect people across the world.
That's true. They can be incredibly powerful tools for activism.
Right.
It's all about using them consciously and intentionally, using their power for good without falling into those traps.
Okay, so let's talk solutions. What are some things we can do to minimize these risks, to create a healthier relationship with our smartphones?
One simple but effective thing is to set boundaries. Create no-phone zones in your life. Places where smartphones are off limits.
Like where?
The dinner table, the bedroom, or when you're spending quality time with people you care about.
That makes a lot of sense. I've even heard of people doing phone stacks at dinner parties. Everyone puts their phone in a pile, and the first one to reach for theirs have to pay the bill.
That's a great idea. It's about creating a culture where being present is actually valued.
I love that.
And remember, it's not just about those external boundaries, it's also about the internal ones. Be mindful of that urge to constantly check your phone. Before you reach for it, just pause for a second. Ask yourself, do I really need to check this right now? Or am I just trying to avoid being present in this moment?
Yeah, those are good questions to ask. Sometimes I think we just grab our phones out of habit,
It's like an unconscious reflex.
Totally.
It's about becoming aware of those patterns and then making conscious choices about how we want to use our time and attention.
Another thing I've heard is turning off notifications. Those constant pings and buzzes can be so distracting.
Absolutely. Disabling those non-essential notifications, it can really reduce that urge to constantly check your phone.
I bet you feel so much calmer.
You do. You feel calmer and more focused when you're not constantly bombarded with all that stuff.
It's like taking back control of your attention,
Exactly.
reclaiming your mental space.
But instead of just passively consuming content, try using your phone for more creative things or to learn something.
That's a great point.
Explore those apps that teach you new skills, help you express yourself, or connect with others who share your interests.
Right. Smartphones can be great tools for learning. Like, I just started using a language learning app. It's been a fun way to, expand my horizons.
Love that. It's about using these devices for self-improvement and exploration.
Okay, so we've talked about the social and psychological impacts of smartphones. Now let's talk about how these devices affect our productivity. So smartphones, right? Ultimate productivity paradox. They can make us so much more efficient, but then they're also incredibly distracting. It's like having a personal assistant who keeps interrupting you to show you, like, funny cat videos.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's that constant tension, Between being empowered and being distracted, that's what really defines our relationship with smartphones at work. On one hand, we have all this information at our fingertips, all these communication tools, organizational apps. It can really streamline how we work and, make us more productive.
Right, but then there's that other side, that same connectivity that's so empowering can also be a huge source of distraction. Emails, social notifications, news alerts, it never ends.
And it's a battle that, honestly, our brains aren't really built to win. We're wired to respond to new things, to stimulation. And smartphones, well, they take advantage of that.
I know what you mean. It's like our brains are constantly being pulled in a million different directions. I've definitely tried to do it all at once, like juggling emails and messages and work tasks. But I just end up feeling stressed and totally unproductive.
Yeah, and that feeling, it's not just you. There's actually research showing that multitasking makes us less efficient, we make more mistakes, and our cognitive performance goes down.
So what do we do? Do we just have to, disconnect completely to get anything done?
Not necessarily. It's more about being smart and intentional about how we use our smartphones, creating those clear boundaries between work and personal time, setting aside specific times for focused work, and then actually using those features that help us stay on track.
So it's about using the tools in a way that works for us, not letting them use us. What are some specific things our listeners can do, to be more productive and minimize those distractions?
Well, one technique I really like is time blocking. So you basically allocate chunks of time for different tasks. And then during those blocks, you silence your phone, disable notifications, and you just give your full attention to whatever you're working on.
It's like creating this little mental space where you can focus, free from all that digital noise.
Exactly. And then once that time block is over, you can check your messages, respond to emails, you can engage with your phone without feeling guilty because you know you've already gotten your work done.
I like that. It's about being in control of your time instead of just reacting to whatever pops up on your screen.
Another good strategy is to curate your digital environment. So you're minimizing those distractions. Turn off notifications for apps you don't really need, unsubscribe from those tempting newsletters, and organize your home screen so you only see the apps that actually help you be productive.
Kind of like decluttering your digital space.
Yeah.
To create a calmer, more focused environment.
Exactly. And remember, it's an ongoing process. You're going to slip up sometimes, get distracted. The important thing is to recognize those patterns, gently guide yourself back to what you're supposed to be doing, and keep refining those strategies, for using your smartphone to your advantage without letting it take over.
So it seems like the big takeaway from our deep dive into smartphones is that they're not inherently good or bad. They're tools, powerful tools. And we can use them to make our lives better, or we can let them make our lives worse.
It really comes down to awareness, being intentional, and being willing to build a healthy, balanced relationship with these devices because they are such a big part of our lives these days.
We hope this deep dive has given you some new insights and maybe some practical tips for navigating this whole digital world we live in. It's about embracing technology, but also protecting our well-being, our relationships, and our ability to focus on what's important.
Remember, you get to choose how you interact with your smartphone. Choose wisely, choose mindfully, and choose to live a life that's rich in both digital and real-world experiences.
Great advice. And on that note, we'll leave you with this final thought. Put down the phone, look up, and really engage with the world around you. There's a whole universe of experiences out there just waiting to be discovered beyond the screen. Until next time, stay curious, stay mindful, and keep diving deep